Hi guys, welcome back to this video tutorial on RESTful web services. In this video we will see how to update an object into the database using an HTTP put request. This example will be slightly different from the previous because we will use a web service that will return a response object to the client application. In this way, we can have a full control on the response. For example, we will see how to set the HTTP status code of the response. Or we could also use this object to send back to the client application cookies or other features of the response object. First of all, let's create a method that updates an object into database. Here we are in the company repository class. Let's copy and paste the code of this method. The method takes as a parameter the company object to update into database with the new values. This is the update SQL statement to be executed, where the value of each field is passed as parameter. In fact, we here have a prepared statement of JDBC API to which we pass the string, the SQL string. Here we are assigning the values to the fields of the SQL statement, where the last value is the ID of the object to update. Then this is the execution of the query. Then we close the object, the prepared statement object, and return the company object that we have updated. If there is an SQL exception, this method will return null. Let's create now the method of our web service. As we said, this method will return a response object. So let's copy and paste the code of this method. This method takes as parameter the company object to update, then call the update company method of the company repository class to update this object into the database. If the company object is null, it returns to the client application an empty object of class company here. As you can see, this object has to be converted using the generic entity class before send it back to the client application with the response object here. And as you can see here, with the response object, we can also set the HTTP status code to return to the client application. In this case, an error case, we have 452 as HTTP status code. If the object returned by the update company method is not null, this object is sent back to the client application with status code 200. Let's add the annotation to this method. First of all, the put annotation, because according to the RESTful rules, we have to use the HTTP put request to update an object on the server. Then the path, the specific path of this method. In this case, we can use the same path of this one other method, because this one is with post annotation and this one is with put annotation. So there is no conflict between them. And the last annotation produces that specifies the format, JSON format, in which this method will return the updated company object to the client application. The web service is ready to be called, so we now have to restart our application. Okay, let's come back to Postman to send the request to the new web service. So here is a new request. Put is the HTTP method. We can copy the first part of the URL. The relative path of the method is company. Okay. Now in the body we have to, in the body here we have to put the object in the JSON format, for example. So we can copy an object here, for example, and paste. And this is the ID of the object that we want to update. Says object number 3. City can be Berlin, Germany, Indigo. Okay. Then here in the header we have to specify to the web service the format of the object that we are sending in the body, with the content type. Again, content type JSON value. Okay, Now we can send the request. Okay, as you can see here, the ID value is not 0, so always okay. In fact, also the HTTP status code is 200. Let's see now if we send again a request with an ID of an object that is not in the database, for example 20. Okay, the response has a body with an empty object, ID 0, and the HTTP status code is 452. That's all. In the next video we will see how to create a web service to delete an object into the database. Thank you very much for your attention.